One of the biggest problems that military members have when they leave active duty and they want to go into the cybersecurity world is getting together their resume, their online personas, their LinkedIn. They use phrases that we just don't use in the civilian world. That's why at VetSec, which is a nonprofit that helps military members in transition out into the civilian world, we have a resume help channel. Today, I'm here with John Stoner to talk about how you can get help and what sort of resources are available for you. Hello, everybody. I'm Michael Smith. I help out with VetSec in a lot of different ways. Most notoriously, I post a lot of the videos onto the VetSec YouTube channel. And John, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Michael. I'm John Stoner, U.S. Army veteran. I did 10 years as a SIGINT analyst. I've been out of the service for 14 years doing a variety of cybersecurity roles. I give back to a lot of organizations, including VetSec, at career villages, and I sort of got involved in helping people improve their resumes several years ago. So I'm one of the people in the resume channel that tries to help and provide feedback, and I run a yearly workshop at the online VetSec conference as well. So I'm just here today to give some information about the resume help channel and how we can help you.
Yeah, so let's start with a really easy question, and that is, what's the purpose of the resume help channel?
Sure. So there are several volunteers in VetSec who have either recruiting and or hiring manager experience like myself. So when a resume comes into the VetSec resume help channel, we're doing our best to provide helpful feedback. We're all doing this as volunteers. Some of the advice can be pretty direct or straightforward in some cases. Some of that is because we see some of the same things over and over. It seems like sometimes people aren't doing a lot of prep work or homework ahead of time when they go into that channel. So please review the pinned posts, and then there's a workflow in the channel, and then one of us will respond to you with some, hopefully helpful feedback about your resume.
Yeah, so is there any other kind of pre-work that somebody needs to do before they get help?
Ideally, yes. So in that channel on our Slack, there's a variety of pinned posts. So I recently cleaned them up, and within those pinned posts, there's a ton of information regarding general recommendations and general resume format. You can watch last year's recording of the workshop. There's resume templates and examples. And then once this year's workshop that I ran is up on YouTube, I will include that as the pinned post as well. Most people who come into the channel have some of the same general issues with their resume. So we can provide more tailored feedback if you've sort of gone through some of that and done a little bit of homework before you use the workflow to put the resume into the channel.
Yeah, so you mentioned some of the common mistakes. Can you go through some of the common mistakes that you see on people's resumes?
Sure, there's probably a number, but I think some of the biggest ones that we see would still be using a lot of military specific language or jargon that just doesn't translate into the civilian world well. And I think the other one is not tailoring the resume for a specific job within cybersecurity. You really can't be successful in this day and age anymore with using one version of your resume for more than one type of job that you might be applying for.
Yeah. So do you have any other advice about just resumes in general or in particular?
Sure, probably one of the biggest pieces of advice is that you can't include everything. This is really hard for me to follow on my own resume as well. We really recommend 2 pages, maybe 3 if you're really experienced, maybe 3 if you're applying for federal jobs. That's a little bit different. I've recently gotten my main resume down to 2 pages. If you're more entry level or junior or a career changer, we highly recommend 1 page. What's important for you to understand is that the recruiter or hiring manager that looks at your resume the first time is probably spending 30 seconds on your resume. So you really do want to be brief and have all the important stuff on page 1.
Yeah, yeah. And do you have any other advice for people that are looking for a job?
I have some advice that I think people might not like. I think you have to network. You want to network before you transition. You want to network before you ETS. You probably should be networking before you think it's time to do networking. You can volunteer at cybersecurity events in and around your area or online. In my opinion, networking is going to be the best way to find roles, find information about companies, maybe even get internal referrals. You can even network within like a community online within the VetSec Slack channel, just in particular. And there's other communities online that exist as well. I really feel that blindly applying online using a generic resume and sort of coming in and complaining, I've applied for 400 times and I don't get a follow up. That's not really a successful strategy anymore. Networking is like really the most important thing you can try to do in person and virtually, depending on your situation and location. And then lastly, tailoring your resume and getting some mentoring is going to be really critical. We offer that within VetSec. You can request a mentor that may be really helpful as you're doing your initial transition into the civilian world. A lot of these things go hand in hand, the resume building, looking for a job, getting some mentorship. And then lastly, I know we focus a lot on the resumes, but you really need to prepare for your interview. There's a number of strategies around making sure you're prepared for the most common questions. As a hiring manager, having hired probably about 50 people, I can tell when a candidate has not prepared for the interview. So you definitely want to spend some time on that. Don't only focus on just the resume.
Yeah. Thank you. That's all good sound advice. Thank you very much for joining us here today. And thank you for helping out with resume help.
Well, thank you, Michael, for all you do for VetSec, and hopefully we can continue to help people with their resume and transition.